Welcome to another round of my little guitar demo series. Today I have, of course, something special for you. As you can see, I hold a very futuristic or modern looking guitar here in my hands. This is a original 1964 Gibson Firebird Model 3. They had this Model 1, Model 2, only with one pickup, and then the Model 5 later on. This is the Model 3. And yeah, the design is really an eye-catcher. Yeah, after all this time, it still looks like a modern guitar or a fancy guitar. You know, this reverse design, everything is a little bit strange. And actually, this guitar was designed back in the days when Gibson struggled, when Fender had this tremendous success with the solid body Stratocaster guitars and Telecasters. So they thought, we have to come up with something. And actually, this guitar here was designed by a car designer. Some of you probably know this old-timer, this very expensive old-timer called Duesenberg. And this car was designed by a dude named Ray Dietrich. Actually a German name, that's why I pronounce it like that, Dietrich, and the first name should be pronounced Raimund Dietrich. So Ray Dietrich worked for Ford and I think Cadillac, or I'm not too much into cars. So the dude was a car designer, and he came up with this idea, with this reversed design. It looks a little bit strange, feels a little bit strange. This guitar is unfortunately always associated with pure blues playing. When I did read a little bit about the Firebird, not only today, also a few years back, or when I was young, I always dreamed of a Firebird, you know, at least to have it one day in my hands. I learned that Gibson thought this should be a good guitar for jazz players. So who would have thought that? And actually, I don't know any jazz guitarist with a good name who would be popular on stage with a Firebird. So typically you associate a Gibson Firebird with blues players like Johnny Winter, of course. What a name. And Billy Gibbons also did some tracks on some albums for mostly clean sounds with the Firebird. And yeah, what should I say? This guitar is in a wonderful condition. I think the experts call it excellent plus condition, because it isn't really a mint condition, because here are some shrinkings in the plastic, and there are also some marks like here. But when you see this guitar coming out of the case, you would really guess this is from today, or is just 1 or 2 years old. It is in a wonderful condition. And really, on this guitar there are several specialities. For example, starting here with the tuners. This is also so-called Gibson Banjo Tuners. They feel, of course, a little bit strange the way they are mounted. And this comes together with the reverse design and the fact that you also have to wrap the strings here. Yeah, you have to think reverse when you change the strings. It can be a burden to change the strings on this guitar, but once you figure it out, it's okay. Interesting, probably not only for me, is the fact that the Banjo Tuners here, they have some sort of very short gear. So that means just half a turn and you are one note up. So you have to turn them very carefully when tuning the guitar, because you can overtune very easy. But on the other hand, they are very exact. And this is one of the vintage guitars where I can say you don't have to change the tuners, because it really stays in tune and they are very exact. So this is something. The downturn is that the whole headstock here is very heavy. Yeah, now we come to the reason why so many Firebirds didn't make it until 2015 without a broken neck, and this is the reason why. Yeah, you see, it goes downhill. The guitar has a very thin neck with a wonderful rosewood fretboard. The neck overall feels just perfect. I mean, hands are different, of course. One dude has bigger hands, one dude has smaller hands. But this neck here is just wonderful. So when you touch it, you, at least me, I can immediately relate, and it feels very organic. And while I said dudes, I learned that more than 10% of my video viewers on YouTube are female. So hello, guitar girls. So don't feel excluded or something like that. Yeah, this is not really a heavy guitar, but also not a light guitar. It's not the perfect guitar, I fear, for women, because as I showed you, we have this problem with the neck, who wants always to go to the floor, and you have to work against it with your left hand, and this puts an additional strain on small women hands. Yeah, I think enough of my babbling. I give you a few examples with a music playback where I just play with this guitar over a pre-recorded playback. And this time I start with a more rockish one, because this guitar is known for rockish music, so let's start with the rockish one. Yeah, this guitar has some serious overtones, isn't it? And there's more to it than just the blues. Nothing against the blues, but I don't like it when guitars are limited to only one direction of music, just because somebody popular was only playing the blues on it. So, as probably many of you know or see, this guitar comes with this neck-through construction, which means it is a one-piece neck. Not really one piece, because it's made from several stripes of mahogany and walnut. I like walnuts. And they are glued on mahogany wings. Here on the back you see it also much better. No? It's one piece neck. And as you can see here on the back, this guitar is in a wonderful condition. Once more, a dream for guitar collectors. The guitar comes with a flat blade vibrato with wrap over bridge with compensated saddle, as you can see here in the detail. To be honest, like with many vintage guitars, especially from Gibson from the 60s, this vibrato here maybe look interesting, but it's not useful. Guitar detunes very quick with that, and it makes strange noises, so I let it dangle around here. It's not recommended to use it. The guitar has two mini humbuckers, and there's a story to it, because there were later models, I think it was in 1965, when Gibson also mounted P90s on Firebirds. And some of you may know that Gibson worked together with Epiphone at that time in the 60s and also in the early 70s, and the mini humbuckers were delivered by Epiphone. But here in this guitar there are the original mini humbuckers, which were not from Epiphone. A pair of Nico bar magnets with the pickups coils wound directly around them. Yeah, and very typical for these special kind of mini humbuckers is that they sound very sharp, they have a lot of bite, but at the same time when you roll off the treble you come close to a Les Paul sounding humbucker, very warm sounding with a very wonderful attack. The guitar has another speciality when you are coming from a typical Gibson Les Paul and look at the tone controls and the volume controls, because it looks familiar, but there's something strange, because normally on a Les Paul those two knobs here would be the volume and those two knobs would be the tone controls. So here for the neck volume, here for the bridge the volume, and then the tone controls. But here you have the volume control for the neck, and here the volume control for the bridge, and here the tone control for the neck, and here the tone control for the bridge. So when I got the guitar first in my hands, I always turned on the wrong knobs. I give you just a short overview after we talked about the controls here. So here I go to the neck pickup first and listen to this G chord. This guitar has sustain, isn't it? I play over using Ketna Tubemeister 36 tube amp, and it's a clean, absolutely clean channel. Wonderful sustain. You go to the middle position, you have both pickups. We have a little bit more sharpness, and when we go to the bridge pickup, it's very sharp or biting, isn't it? Oh yes. But we have tone controls, and when you roll off the treble completely, it sounds like that. Oh, this is a jazz tone, isn't it? I do the same with the treble pickup here first. The tone control is totally cranked open. Oi, it's a vintage guitar. You hear that there are some interesting nuances in between these treble settings, and you heard also what I often said already in videos of mine here in this channel, the vintage tone controls, you just have to love them. They are so effectful, yeah? There is a lot to it. On the other side, this guitar here, I learned that I was reading a little bit. I also don't know everything, just when I wake up in the morning. Typically in Les Pauls or other Gibson guitars, they have the 500K volume pots, but here they have the 300K volume pots, because they probably sounded better in combination with the mini humbuckers, but they have one disadvantage, at least for me. Yeah, during the first 5 positions here, so until I go to the 5, there's nearly nothing happening. So I just put it on 2, for example. It's not much. So the whole range of volume comes, yeah, just from the 7 to the 10. So it's not so easy with this guitar to control the volume. Or let's say you have to get used to it, how to work it out, because you turn and turn and nothing happens, and then from one moment to the other everything is coming. So this is also a speciality of this guitar here, with this wonderful neck, with this superb rosewood fretboard with dot inlays. By the way, this guitar here came over Gary's classic guitars in the US to Germany, to a German collector. And some of you may know the name Gary's Classic Guitars, which is a guarantee typically for selected and really very fine vintage instruments. And this guitar here makes no exception. It just looks wonderful. The wood finish and everything. It's also absolutely original. And it's also the right time to say again a huge thank you to a good friend of mine who was so nice to lend me this guitar for today from his collection. So have fun with my next playback. So I hope you heard a few wrong notes, I'm sure about that, but also that this guitar here is a wonderful music instrument. You can make any music on it. It has not only a one style restriction, and it should be played, this wonderful vintage beauty here. And yeah, in the year 2015 it still is a modern guitar. And I think I'm at the end of my little guitar video demo for today, and see you next time. Bye bye.